Well, this is a landmark case, as it is the first time that a court has reached a verdict on a claim against Tesla's autopilot software, where a jury found Tesla partially liable for a woman's death and the serious injury of her partner. As we'll see in this video, the accident happened in 2019, and the Tesla driver was relying on the autopilot when it crashed into the victim's vehicle, killing one and injuring the other. The case is important because Tesla usually manages to settle these kind of claims out of court, so there is never any precedent set. Of course, Tesla will inevitably appeal the verdict, but in doing so, it will need to reveal a considerable amount of information about its autopilot system, which to date has been kept tightly under wraps. Welcome back to MGUY, British engineer and lawyer, now Sydney-based YouTuber. If you'd like to support this channel and display your anti-EV credentials to your Tesla-owning neighbours at the same time, why not buy some awesome MGUY merchandise, like this mug, this baseball cap, or this t-shirt. Each high-quality item sports the MGUY No EVs sign, and they're all made to order, perfect for irritating the hell out of your local EV zealots. Visit store.mguy.tv or click the link in the description to check out the full range of products. And of course, you can always just buy me a coffee. Click the link in the description or scan the QR code on screen. This tragic accident happened in Florida in 2019 when Dylan Angulo and his girlfriend stopped their truck to look up at the night sky. Little did they know that decision would change their lives permanently. Here's a news report from a few months after the crash. South Florida man wants answers after crash-killed girlfriend. How can somebody be free 3 months after they've killed somebody and have caused so much pain in other people's lives? It's been almost 4 months since the crash claimed the life of a Miami woman and seriously injured her boyfriend. Dylan Angulo, 27, and Nabel Benavides Leon, 22, were standing outside of their truck parked off Card Sound Road when they were hit by a car. The video from a Monroe County deputy's body-worn camera shows rescue efforts to save Angulo, who was lying unconscious with blood around him. The impact of the crash threw Benavides Leon into the bushes, where she was found by paramedics minutes later. She died after being transported to the hospital. Dylan says he spent weeks in the hospital with serious injuries. "They thought I was going to die at one point," said Angulo during an exclusive interview with NBC6. "It's been rough." He says he had a traumatic brain injury that has affected his memory. He says he doesn't remember the crash, but he remembers when he was told weeks later about the crash and that his girlfriend had died. "At that moment, finding out that my girlfriend passed away and I was in a severe accident was devastating," he said. "I was just overwhelmed with sadness." Florida Highway Patrol is investigating the crash, which happened where Card Sound Road intersects with County Road 905, a popular route for people traveling to the Keys. According to the FHP accident report, the driver of a 2019 Tesla Model S ran through a stop sign, a flashing red stop light, and knocked down a traffic sign, all before colliding into the couple whose truck was parked 40 feet off the road. The driver, George McGee from Boca Raton, can be heard on the body-worn camera that he was driving in cruise. McGee could be referring to an optional feature that Tesla promotes on its website called Traffic Aware Cruise Control, which allows the car to maintain a safe distance from the car in front. Apparently, the Tesla driver was bending down to pick up a dropped phone when the accident occurred. You'd think that Tesla would have realized it was heading straight for a solid object and would have some emergency alert or braking system. Even my 2017 BMW 4 Series will flash a red light on the dashboard and make a warning sound if I'm approaching a vehicle ahead too rapidly. But apparently, the Tesla system didn't even do this and allowed the vehicle to plow straight into the truck. McGee was allowed to leave the crash site that night without getting a ticket, even though the police report lists that he operated the vehicle in a reckless or aggressive manner. He wasn't tested for alcohol or drugs either. FHP declined to comment on why and any other details of the crash, saying the investigation is ongoing. Angulo says he is angry because McGee hasn't faced any consequences. How can somebody be free 3 months after they've killed somebody and have caused so much pain in other people's lives? Angulo said. To me, that's not right. His attorney, Rob Pellier, echoes Angulo's frustration. It's a slap in the face to these victims, he said. Mr. McGee's conduct that evening was remarkably selfish, irresponsible, reckless, and, in my belief, it was criminal. But now, over 6 years later, yes, the wheels of justice grind slow, a jury has found Tesla partially responsible for the death and injury and has awarded nearly $243 million against the company in relation to the failures of the autopilot system. Jury says Tesla was partly to blame for fatal crash. Lawyers for the family of a woman struck and killed by a Tesla sedan in 2019 argued that the company's autopilot software should have avoided the crash. A Florida jury on Friday found that flaws in Tesla's self-driving software were partly to blame for a crash that killed a 22-year-old woman in 2019 and severely injured her boyfriend. The verdict is a significant setback for the carmaker, which is staking much of its future on developing self-driving taxis. The jury verdict, if upheld on appeal, would require Tesla to pay as much as $243 million in punitive and compensatory damages to the parents of the woman and to her boyfriend. The jury found that Tesla bore 33% responsibility for the crash and blamed the driver, George Brian McGee, for the remainder. Mr. McGee had previously settled with the family for an undisclosed sum. Tesla said it would appeal. Today's verdict is wrong and only works to set back automotive safety and jeopardize Tesla's and the entire industry's efforts to develop and implement life-saving technology, the company said in a statement. Tesla said it expected the damages to be reduced on appeal. Florida law is explicit that punitive damages have been all but eliminated in product liability cases such as this one, the company said. We are confident that the punitive damage award at a minimum, and likely this whole verdict, will be overturned by the appellate court. The decision comes just weeks after Tesla began limited testing of autonomous taxis in Austin, Texas. Elon Musk, the company's chief executive, said in a conference call with investors in July that the service could cover half the population of the United States by the end of the year. But Tesla has consistently oversold the capabilities of the autopilot system, claiming on many occasions that it is supposedly safer than regular drivers. And whether they intended it or not, this has probably given Tesla drivers a false sense of security when autopilot is engaged. Brett Schreiber, who represented the plaintiffs, accused Tesla of a misinformation campaign that exaggerated autopilot's capabilities and caused drivers to become complacent. He quoted Mr. Musk as saying that the system was safer than a human being. They knew all along that the autopilot was defective, Mr. Schreiber said during closing arguments Thursday. Mary Cummings, an expert on autonomous driving technology and a former safety advisor to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, testified that autopilot was defective because it failed to react to obstacles and failed to ensure Mr. McGee kept his eyes on the road. Similar driver assistance systems made by General Motors and Ford Motor have cameras that track a driver's eyes to make sure they are looking at the road. The version of autopilot in Mr. McGee's Tesla would keep operating as long as the driver touched the steering wheel occasionally, whether his eyes were on the road or not. Newer Tesla cars have cameras that monitor drivers. And Schreiber actually used a phrase that I have used on this channel myself.
They use production vehicles as beta tests on our public roadways. And then unfortunately, when incidents occur, as they like to say, they make changes. The problem is for the people affected, like my clients, an incident is a funeral.
Beta testing on the general public is dead right in my view. So what does all this mean? This is a jury decision, so there may be a number of grounds for appeal for Tesla. We'll obviously have to wait and see what they decide to do. But I believe this is the first time that a court has ruled on a matter of safety in relation to the autopilot system. So when the matter does come before the appeal court, Tesla will have to provide considerable evidence to demonstrate that their system is sufficiently safe to be allowed on public roads and that it played no part in this accident. I'll keep an eye on this going forward, so as always, stay tuned. Thanks very much for watching. Really hope you enjoyed it. If you've got any tips or stories, go there. If you'd like to watch another video, go there. If you'd like to buy me a coffee, go there. And please subscribe to the channel.